So in this tutorial, I'm going to talk about a couple functions from the optimize library, namely minimize and brute, some of the inputs for those functions, how to set them up correctly, and then how to get the values that you want out from them. So first, let's talk a little bit about importing the optimize library. So the equally valid syntax, if you just want to import the brute and minimize functions, would be to do this, and then also have this as well. But in this case, we're not too worried about memory allocation, so we just go ahead and import the entire library, which allows us to use minimize and brute. So we can see here in this cell, I have a function that I'm defining, named func, and I've got a little bit of pseudocode here. So any pseudocode will have exclamation points before and after it, just so you can kind of get the gist of some of the things you should be using, but it's not exact syntax. So right here, we're returning whatever our function output is. In the data assignment number 6, you'll be outputting a mathematical function here from whatever it is the name of your function is. And so for the minimize function, we have the name of the function, in this case func, and then input for our optimization. So this can be any integer, in this case for the mathematical function, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever integer we want to put in. I think you need to do a set of integers from 1 to 10, so you'll just try each one, 1 to 10, and kind of see where things balance out here in the second parameter place. So those are the two parameters for the minimize function, whatever it is that the function is that we've defined, and then the number that we're optimizing at. Here, moving down to the brute function, we have the same kind of thing. So brute will be minimizing a function brute force across a range of variables. So in this case, what we have is the name of the function as one of the parameters or inputs to the brute function, which we defined up here as func, and then what is called a slice. So a slice is a range of variables, which we define inside of these parentheses with the parameters the beginning of the range and the end of the range, and then what we want to increment by. So say we want to do 1 to 50 and increment by 0.5. So I would go ahead and put a 1 here, a 50 here, and then a 0.5 right here. And that would allow me to have a slice of integers, 1 to 50, incrementing by 0.5, and that would be the input for my brute minimization across this function. So that's kind of some of the basics here. Quick recap of what we talked about. Importing the libraries. There's a couple different ways to do that. Both are correct. Just a difference on how much memory we allocate on the computer. Defining the function, which is going to be our input for our minimize and our brute. And then the two inputs, the name of the function that we want to minimize, or the name of the function that we want to do a brute force minimize, and then the input, in this case a single digit, in this case a range of numbers.